I'm Anja Weinberg. I'm the co-founder of A Place for Healing. I am a wellness home consultant, and often you see me at the front desk managing everything and helping our clients feel welcome in the office and making sure everything flows. Tonight you're in for a really good treat. Dr. Barry will give us an amazing informational workshop, and it's going to be very interactive, and we'll get started. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am Dr. Barry Weinberg. We've been in practice for 30 years. Tonight's really all about stress, and we're going to go into depth about what stress is and how it impacts the body. And what the 4 T's really are things that stress us. So who's ever felt overwhelmed physically, emotionally, or mentally? So we all raised our hand with that one, right? So what do you think is the biggest cause of stress in your life, in our lives, just in life in general? Work.
People and their demands.
People and their demands.
Stinking thinking.
Stinking thinking.
Yeah.
Worrying.
Worry of the future.
Worry about the future. We all relate to all of these things? So what I want to get into is why is stress such a big deal? Because even on the CDC website, they do say 98% of all disease is stress related. I would say 100% of all disease is stress related. And we're going to go into why and how that all works tonight. So we're going to start with the nervous system. Nervous system is our brain, our spinal cord, and our nerves, and it is the master controller of the body. It controls all organ function. It controls us thinking and feeling. It controls how we perceive the world and how we respond to the world back. It controls our whole, basically our existence is all expressed through the nervous system. Everything we experience in life is expressed and experienced through the nervous system. I'll say it 3 times. Yes. I really want you to get this. Everything we experience and express, we express through the nervous system. So the nervous system is the most important part of this physical structure. In fact, when a baby first forms from that sperm and the egg, the first thing that starts to develop is the brain and spinal cord, and all the organs grow from it like fruit on a tree. D.D. Palmer, this guy right here, discovered in 1895 that life is the expression of tone. This is the man that discovered chiropractic. In 1895 in Davenport, Iowa, there was a man by the name of Harvey. He worked he was a librarian. He had a bookstore and a library, did healing work in the back. And he had a janitor that was deaf. But he noticed Harvey, who was the janitor, walked around like this. He said, "Can I try something?" And he noticed there was a vertebra that was misaligned in his neck, and he put it back. And the next day, Harvey came back and he was able to hear. And that was the first chiropractic adjustment. And he didn't say, "Oh, I just discovered the cure for deafness," or for neck pain, or for low back pain. From that adjustment, he realized that everything we experience in life is experienced and expressed through the nervous system. By keeping the spinal cord healthy, we're healthy. But this was a big step for him, saying life is the expression of tone. So what did he mean by that? So I have a picture of a guitar. How many of us have ever played a guitar? Or held one? Or seen one? We all know there's strings on there, right? These little knobbies on the end tune the guitar. And what does tuning the guitar mean? It's making sure that the strings are all the exact amount of tension they need to produce the note they're supposed to make. They need to be tuned so they can produce the right tone, right? If they're too loose, the tone's too low. If it's too tight, the tone's too high. So it's got to be perfect. Perfect. Our nervous system is exactly the same way. If there's too much tension in it, we're going to experience life very different than when it's at perfect tuning. If it's too loose, we're going to experience life very different than when it's at perfect tuning. And what can that look like? It could look like disease. It could look like depression. It could look like being stiff all the time. Everything that people have health problems with is a result of the nervous system not being properly tuned. Everything. Everything. We have an acupuncturist, he's nodding. So that's what he meant by life is the expression of tone, because you're experiencing your life exactly how your nervous system is tuned. And this doesn't just relate to the nervous system, because when the nervous system's under tension, out from the spine is connective tissue. You may have heard that before, fascia. If you ever made ribs, and you have that stuff you have to pull off the back, that's connective tissue. And that connective tissue extends out of the spine and wraps around every bone, every organ, every muscle, everything. So like a marionette puppet, when that nervous system is under tension, it's going to pull on all these other parts, changing their tone. So if your heart is under tension, it's going to perform differently. If your digestive system's under tension, it's going to perform differently. If your mind is under tension, it's going to perform differently. Everything. Is this all making sense?
Yes.
So one of the ways, which I'm going to go into a little more detail in a moment, to have optimum health is to make sure your nervous system is properly tuned. So all of health is about how well we adapt to the changes in our life. Our body's always adapting, and how healthy we are determines how we adapt. So there's basically two ways that we adapt. One is if what we're experiencing, whether it's an emotional stress or a physical stress, if we have the resources to deal with what's in front of us, we grow from it. We become better, we become stronger. That's why we go to the gym. We put our muscles under pressure, put tension on them, and they hopefully get stronger, right? That's why we exercise, that's why we study. We're deliberately putting ourselves under stress, but it's a good stress, right? It makes us grow. If we don't have the mental, emotional, or physical resources to deal with what we're dealing with, our body goes into the stress response, or fight or flight. And that fight or flight response is very different than the growth response, because now we got to protect ourselves. And a body in defense functions very differently than a body that's in growth and ease. Endorphins are released. Anybody ever had a slam on their brake on the highway? Or somebody jumped out, whether actually attacking you or just playing, but it startled you?
Yes.
You all know the experience. Your body tenses, your heart rate goes up, your eyes get big, you may feel tension in your belly because digestion stops at that moment. Sometimes after that event you may get sick because your immune system gets depressed. This is a very important response of the body in times of danger. If a bear jumps out or an attacker jumps out, I gotta be ready to fight this thing or run. So the body's preparing me for that. But once that danger is gone, it should all restore back to normal. But sometimes it doesn't. And when we're stuck in that stress response all the time, that's when disease starts to happen. That's when the body becomes unhealthy. Because a body that's in defense doesn't heal, doesn't grow, doesn't become better, it's just protected. And how many of us have seen people walking around like this? This is people stuck in the stress response. And you can see it in their spines. Before we do that, I want to share something that has nothing to do with this, but it has to do with adaptation, and it excites me. So I want to share it. And it kind of shows what I'm demonstrating. I watched a show yesterday that said dinosaurs were not giant reptiles. They weren't reptiles at all. Anybody know what they were? Giant birds. They were giant birds. Brontosauruses and Tyrannosaurus rex were giant birds with feathers. They couldn't fly, but they were birds. And there were little ones. There were little dinosaurs that weren't giant. And when that asteroid hit, it killed all the big ones and left the little ones, and those little ones were birds. So all the birds we see flying around,
Yes.
ducks and chickens and turkeys and vultures, those are dinosaurs. Is that the coolest thing?
Yes. I love it.
Now why are they around and the big ones didn't?
They didn't adapt to.
They didn't adapt. Because when that asteroid hit, there was it wasn't even plant life anymore, but the little shrews, the little mammals, and the little dinosaurs, they were able to find food and hide in little holes until everything came back, and then they started climbing trees and all that. and you're them. We are the ancestors of those little shrews that hid in those holes. So because you're here shows that you're very highly adaptable. Because those that aren't. But when you can maximize your adaptability, now you can start experiencing well-being and vibrant health. So here are the 4 T's. There are 4 things in life that basically cause us to go into that defense response. And these are the things, they're not the enemy. They're just things that we got to strengthen our resilience to and our adaptability to, so they actually can become sources of growth. Because it's only when we don't have the resources to deal with them that they're a problem. And those 4 T's are traumas: physical injuries, birth trauma, emotional traumas that we have in our past. An example of this, I have a patient who's been coming for, not just to me, but to NetworkSpinal, which I'm going to talk about shortly, for probably 20 years. And he moved down about a year ago and started seeing me, and he comes about once every 3 weeks, once a month. He was moving, and he was carrying a big piece of furniture and fell down a flight of stairs. And as he was going down, he could feel his body adjusting and moving to go with the flow of the fall.
Yes.
So at the end, he had some bruises, but he wasn't hurt. He didn't have any broken bones. He didn't have any cuts. He didn't have any sprained anything. He just had a couple black and blue marks. But he said he could literally feel his body adapting as he was going down the stairs, like Chuck Norris.
Wow.
That's somebody adapting to trauma. And it didn't harm him. And he learned from it. So he grew. He's like, I can't carry furniture down the stairs by myself. And he grew from it. Second one is toxins. What are toxins? Things in our food, things in the air, things in our environment in general that really shouldn't be inside your body. Things that the body it's just not helpful for the body. It's things that when it goes in, the body has to figure out a way to go out because it's harmful. And we're going to go into that in more detail. The third T is thoughts. A number of people told me today while I was adjusting, why are you so tense? Because I'm worried, I'm afraid, I'm feeling doubts, feeling fearful, feeling these limiting things, self-doubt. So these thoughts cause stress. I'm going to show you a strategy on how to manage those. D.D. Palmer said there were 3 T's: trauma, toxins, and thoughts that change the tone of the nervous system. But actually 2 weeks ago I was talking to somebody and they said there is a 4th T, and it's technology. Not only the energy that's coming from it, which we've all felt the drain of that when we're on the computer for hours, but also the postural changes that it's causing in people. There's actually a medical diagnosis now called tech neck. So we talked about trauma, we got our car accidents, being overwhelmed, worried, stressed. So one of the things that's important is to find some kind of strategy to be able to recover from the past stresses and traumas of your life. Because all of your present injuries and illnesses are due to you haven't recovered from those past things. That's altered the tuning in your nervous system, altered the tuning in your whole system, so your immune system isn't functioning the way it's supposed to. Your digestive system isn't working. You have high blood pressure, you have cholesterol, you have aches and pains. The most effective strategy I have found is called NetworkSpinal Chiropractic. This is what I practice in my office. It is a form of chiropractic. What is chiropractic? Chiropractic is the correction of something called a subluxation. What's a subluxation? A subluxation is a vertebra that gets misaligned out of position in your nerve that just like D.D. Palmer found, is putting pressure on your spinal cord, changing the tone and the tuning of your nervous system, altering how your body functions and decreasing how your body functions. So traditional chiropractic that D.D. Palmer discovered was, let's put that vertebra back in alignment, get the pressure off the nervous system, and then the body can heal itself. The body has a self-healing it's intelligent. NetworkSpinal is a little different. NetworkSpinal is one of the only chiropractic techniques that have been researched by non-chiropractors. Because the work we do is so gentle, it's such light touch, but the changes in people's lives and health is very dramatic. And a lot of these scientists wanted to know why. What they found is that subluxation, that vertebra misalignment that a lot of the other chiropractors are putting into place, works like a circuit breaker in a house. Remember earlier we talked about stress overload in the system? Somebody blowing their hair upstairs, right? And somebody's playing their stereo, and somebody's playing the TV, and then you go to put the toaster on and all the lights go out. Right? Have we all experienced that?
Trip the breakers.
So what happened? Breaker switch, right? Breaker switch. And why does that happen?
Overcurrent.
Yeah, it doesn't want to burn out the whole system, right? If that didn't happen, all the wires could get burned out. Same thing can happen with our nervous system. If there's a stress, rather than burning out the whole system, the body actually puts that vertebra out of alignment to block the signal, to protect you. And that's what holds people in that tension. But what we found with Network, these gentle touches, by helping the nervous system release the overload first before putting that vertebra back, the vertebra goes back on its own. What's a network adjustment feel like?
Oh, it's a great release.
You know, you pretty much always feel some form of tension leaving the body and more relaxation in the body. And it's not just about laying on the table and being relaxed. We're retuning the nervous system back to proper function, so that your body's not stuck in that stress response and that defense. There's no limit to what the body can heal. We're gonna move on now to toxins. And I'm actually gonna invite a special guest to talk about this part. And Anya is a home wellness consultant, and she's gonna talk to you about toxins in the environment and how you can master toxins.
Thank you so much. I'm a firm believer, if you don't filter the air and the water, your body becomes the filter. Especially now. I grew up in northern part of Germany on the Dutch border, and I didn't grow up around chlorinated water. Did you know in Florida we have more chlorine in our tap water than is legally allowed to fill your pool with? If you see your pool people filling the pool with the hose, they have to put stuff in there to neutralize the chlorine because we have such chlorinated water. It's not health conducive, it's a carcinogen. I give you 3 simple tips. Go home today, this evening, and check for these 3 things. If you use the plug-in things in the wall to make everything smell yummy in your house, the stuff that you spray, don't use that. They have chemicals in there that really mess with the chemistry in your brain. And if there is people that have breathing concerns, allergies, little kids, your pets, they are hugely affected by it. They are much more susceptible to toxins in the environment. If you have those plug-ins, unplug them like now. If you're using the smelling dryer sheets, stop using them now. Those 2 things are the most toxicating things that people use in their homes every day, and we're making the homes that we live in more toxic than the outside air. That's a little food for thought. So no more dryer sheets, no more plug-ins. Use a little essential oil in an open bowl. Use a little burner or even an old-fashioned little pot on the stove. Put a cup of water, put a couple of drops of essential oils if you want, or some lemon slices, citrus slices. It will make everything smell really fresh, and it's healthier for you. We also talked about EMFs. When we sleep, try to do it without technology. I'm not a big fan of the Fitbits and the smartwatches and all that. Amazing tools. Take them off as much as you can, because you're wearing a radiation on your hand 24/7. Many people sleep with it to check on their sleep cycles. I have seen the adverse reactions that it has with the body because we never get totally grounded. So that's the other tip. And one more tip, to ground. go outside, when we walk barefoot on the beach, the body actually discharges ions from the body and grounds itself. If you don't like the beach, I like the forest. Walk in a meadow, walk on a patch of grass. Find some way to get outside every day a little bit. Refuel in nature. These are 3 little things you can do right now.
Right?
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
I'm gonna add just a few more things. If you don't have an air or water filter, get them. We have some available that we prefer, that if you ever wanna look into water filtration or air filtration, we have them. Don't drink it, if you're gonna just buy bottled water, don't buy distilled. It basically has nothing in it and it drains your body of minerals. Look at a purified water. You know, if you're gonna buy bottled water, mineral water, purified water, but avoid drinking distilled. It's more of like a cleaning product than anything. One other tip I wanna give you, how do you easily eat healthy? When you're buying something and it has ingredients on the side, like a banana obviously doesn't have ingredients, so that's healthy. If it has no ingredients but itself, it's pretty much a good thing. But if it has ingredients, if there's anything on the list of ingredients you don't recognize or it doesn't sound like a food, don't eat it. Give me an example of an ingredient you've read that doesn't sound like a food.
Red 40.
Monosodium
Cellulose, right?
glutamate.
Is that cellulose?
What else?
Cellulose.
Cellulose. Red number 3. Does that sound like a food?
Definitely.
Guar gum. Some of these things aren't bad, but if you don't recognize it, look it up and see what it is. You know, Google it. But pretty much if it says apples, oats, bananas, wheat, things that sound like foods, it's a good chance it's good for you. Very simple. And hydrate every day. What does it mean to hydrate? What the body requires every day to not be dehydrated is half your body weight in ounces of water. Thoughts. We experience what our attention is on. Whatever you keep your attention on all day long is what you're going to experience in your life. If your attention's on life sucks, I'm not safe, I can't get it right, everybody hates me, I can't trust myself, and that's what you believe all the time and what you're thinking about. What do you think life's going to be like?
Exactly that.
Exactly that. We can all agree that. If your attention's on, I am an amazing human being, I impact everybody in my life, this universe is my best friend. What do you think life's going to be like?
Pretty
Very
amazing.
different.
Yeah.
It's easy for somebody to tell you, okay, get present, stop thinking that way. But how easy is it to actually do it?
It's hard.
It's hard. It is hard. And erase doesn't work. And just thinking positive thoughts all the time, if you don't believe them, doesn't really work either. Thinking positive thoughts is just painting over rust. So Anya and I started participating about 21 years ago with something called the Self-Discovery Life Mastery Techniques. I know some of you experienced that as well. And these are strategies created by a Marine to master his own consciousness after he got out of the military. And they're very effective strategies for managing the mind. So I'm going to share with you one of the techniques, and it's called the Present Moment Awareness Technique. And we're all going to do it. And this is a very simple technique that you could do anywhere. And when you do it, I know I'll ask a lot of people, do you meditate? I've tried. When you do this technique, you're meditating. If you do this technique while you're driving, you're meditating. If you do this technique while you're making dinner, you're meditating. It's just a very simple way of focusing the mind into the present moment. And you'll notice the thoughts will start quieting and the body will relax. All right? We're going to do it for a minute. That's it. And you're going to see, the more you practice this every day, the more normal it'll become. And the mind constantly going off into the future about what's going to happen and going back to the past about what happened, that's going to start shrinking and you're going to be more like, wow, I'm just here. We're going to start with the sense of sight. So what I want you to do is just look around the room and really notice all the details of sight. Notice colors, notice shapes, notice textures, shadows, Really notice all the details. And if you notice you have thoughts about what you're looking at, oh, red, clock, just be aware of it and relax your attention back out into the room. You're seeing colors, shapes, sizes, textures. Really notice all the details. If you have thoughts, just notice them. Redirect out into what you're seeing. As you're doing that, start also becoming aware of the sense of sound. So being aware of the colors and shapes and sizes, but you're also noticing the sound of the air conditioning, my voice, cars outside. Just be aware of the subtleties of sight and sound. Again, if you have thoughts, it's okay. Just notice them and then redirect your attention out into the room. What you're seeing and hearing. As you're doing this, add the sense of touch. You can rub your hands together. Feel your body sitting in the chair. Feel the clothes on your body, the temperature of the air on your skin. Then become aware of the sense of touch while still being aware of sight and sound. So that you're being aware of all three senses at the same time. Sight, sound, and touch. So what do you notice as you do this technique?
It doesn't leave you room to think.
Did everybody experience a quieting of the mind? A relaxation in the body? So if you're having doubts or fears or worries, rather than trying to get rid of them, just acknowledge them. Allow yourself to feel it. Okay, I'm scared. I'm going to get present, so let me become aware of the sights. You start with the sights, and then become aware of the sounds. Become aware of the touch. You're aware of all three senses. And can you see how you could do this anywhere? It's really effective when you're driving. It's like, how do you meditate when you're driving? Be fully aware of every car around you, hear the cars going by you, feel the steering wheel. Be fully aware in the present moment of the road. If you're cooking, having a conversation with somebody, be fully aware of them, listen to when they're speaking. So that's a very effective strategy for managing thoughts. Because thoughts aren't a bad thing, is when they're automatic and running on their own like a wild dog, right? You can discipline them like with this technique, and you can deliberately create the thoughts you want to think. So technology. Technology impacts our lives in many ways. It's a great tool. I am talking about computers and devices mostly. Phones, laptops, computers. One, it's the energy. Any of us ever sat in front of the computer for a few hours, work on something? You know that drained feeling you feel after? That's from the electromagnetic frequencies coming off of it. That's the effect of the EMFs. So get down in nature, work for a half hour, go take a 2-minute walk, get away from it, back and forth is much more effective than just being in it all the time. But the magnetics from Niken that also makes the air and water filters definitely impact that. They sell car seats that you can sit on. I can feel the difference when I'm on them. Or if the shoe inserts, they have all kinds of products that directly affect that. But the part of that's the most impactful is the effect on our posture. You see kids walking around like this all day long. When you sit at a computer, this is the posture that we go into when we're sitting at the computer versus that. If I'm walking around like this, what would you think about me?
You're sad.
Depressed.
Depressed.
This is the posture we're in when we're in front of the computer. Right? I want you to all to experience that. I want everybody just to do this. So what happened to all of your breathing?
Labor.
Stopped, right? Or got suppressed. What happened to your mouths? They went down,
Yeah.
right? Just from shifting your posture. Lift back up. Everybody hear what just happened?
Bingo.
What did everybody do?
Breathe.
Took a deep breath.
breath.
Look around. What's everybody's mouths doing now? Smiling. This is retuning your nervous system, like we talked about at the beginning. This is the tuning of illness. This is the tuning of depression. It's the tuning of not breathing. This is the tuning. That's why it's our logo. It's all over our office. This is the tuning of health. This is the posture of health. Now, if you're stuck in this posture because you've had it most of your life, it's not easy to do this. Going to a chiropractor like myself will help that. But I want to demonstrate something. If you have a very rounded posture, when they tell you to sit up straight, very often people lift up from here and want to lift up, and you can feel the strain of that, and it's really not possible. So we're sitting like this, we're at the computer, the sacrum is right here. All you gotta do is lift this, and everything straightens up. So I want everybody to try that. Let it go this way. Without moving any of this, just lift this up. See how that changed everything? So if you find yourself like this a lot, do this. And strengthen these muscles down here like an exercise, just back and forth. By strengthening the sacrum, you'll change your whole posture, because you can see that's what's different here. With the computers, if it's on your desk and it's down, the screen's down here, you're gonna be hunched. So put books under that screen so it's in front of you. If you're on the phone, you gotta put something under your arms. Occasionally like this is fine. But if you're like this all day long, which a lot of kids are, it's gonna impact your spine. Keep the head straight. Keep the head straight. Posture is very important. It changes the tuning of your nervous system, the posture that you're in. The more you can be. This is Charlie Brown, and he says, this is my depressed stance. When you're depressed, it makes a lot of difference how you stand. The worst thing you can do is straighten up and hold your head high, because then you'll start to feel better. If you're gonna get any joy out of being depressed, you gotta stand like this. So even Charlie Brown knew all about that. Last posture tip I'm gonna give you are sleep posture tips. You don't wanna sleep on your belly, that's number one. If you sleep on your belly, you have to keep your head like this all night. And imagine walking around like this all day. I'm getting dizzy just doing it now. You want to be on your side or on your back. If you're on your side, it's good to have a pillow between your knees and a pillow with your arms wrapped around it. It helps relax the hips and it helps relax the shoulders. And you want a pillow that's the right height. So if it's too big, you're going to be like this if the bed's here. If it's too little, you're going to be like that. So you want the pillow to keep your head right here. People say, should I use a hard pillow, a soft pillow, what pillow? Whatever pillow keeps your head right here. However, when you're on your back, if you're a back sleeper, it's good to have a pillow under your knees. And you do need some support under the neck. And you don't want your head like this, because now you're getting back into that defense posture. So you want your head right here. You don't want to be like that. You want it right here, and if you have a fancy pillow with the ridge, great. Otherwise, you can roll up a towel, put it under the neck, just to give it a little support under there. Mm-hmm. Or if you have a soft pillow, you can put it under there. So we talked about the 4 T's, right? We talked about 4 ways to master them. NetworkSpinal Chiropractic to help manage that trauma that's in the body. Food tips and filtration and the other tips Anya gave you for the toxins. Thoughts, present moment awareness technique. And technology, looking at your posture. It's the most important thing. When I talk about 5 ways to master the 4 T's, Harvard did a study, 85-year study, you can look it up, it's called the Grant Study. And they went all over the world to find communities where people traditionally lived over 100. Longevity, there's a longevity study. And they looked at diet, they looked at exercise, they looked at environmental toxins, they looked at all the things that they talk about you need to do to be healthy, and none of that mattered. Because some of these people I lived over 100 smoked, and they ate fatty foods and drank a lot of wine. There's a community in Italy, they ate like terribly. It was delicious, but it wasn't healthy. There's a community up in the North Pole area, the Inuits. Traditionally live over 100, living off whale blubber in cold. And most of them are extremely overweight because they need to do that for the warmth.
Packaged food.
The one thing that they found in common for healthy, long lives was the people enjoyed their life. They enjoyed their life. Didn't matter if they smoked, if they enjoyed it, it had no negative effect on them. Whether they drank, ate bad, if they enjoyed their relationships, if they enjoyed their work, if they enjoyed their community and were involved with their community, they lived long, healthy lives. So my fifth way of mastering the 4 T's is enjoy your life. If you hate your work, find something to enjoy about it. Get out in nature if you enjoy that. If you have hobbies that you haven't done in years that you love, start doing them. If there's things in your relationship that you're not enjoying, do whatever you gotta to fix them so you're enjoying your relationships. If you can't find enjoyment in your work, find different work. It's the most important thing for your overall health and longevity is that you're enjoying your life. Of the 5 ways, that's number 1, I would say. If you're not getting adjusted, get adjusted. Clean out your environment, clean out your head. And you gotta be on those devices, keep them up here, not down there. In the end, it's all about ease. So what's the opposite of ease? Disease. So to conclude, we are going to demonstrate NetworkSpinal Chiropractic. There's a point in care where the body really starts to take over the work. So that's the goal for all my clients. What I want to see happen is that through their own breath and movement, they can start becoming their own chiropractor, really, and manage their own stress and be more resilient. You're going to see, I'm just going to take 1 or 2 contacts, and you're going to see how her body responds to the contact, and her body's adjusting itself and releasing its own tension. All right? Gently down. Would you like to show that? But you come in. You can see when I bring her feet together, the right short leg, right? You see that? See how that heel's a little shorter? Doesn't mean her leg's shorter, it's just some spinal cord tension on that side causing tension. Turn your head to the left. So what happened when she turned to the left?
What happened?
Twisted and
Even
the
out.
heel came back.
Oh, even.
And it's even now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, turn your head to the right. Turn your head to the right. See how it got short? So it's telling me just from that there's something going on in her neck. Back in the middle. So for the sake of demo, we're just going to focus on the neck. You're going to see more.
Now, why did you lift her legs like that? Did that
To
release it?
see if when I lifted the short leg, if it got even or got longer when I brought it up.
Okay.
Because if it gets longer or even, it may mean there's some rotation in the pelvis. Everything's just another clue. So I talked about connective tissue earlier, remember? So the spinal cord connective tissue attaches to the vertebra, the bone in the neck and in the sacrum, and here it's loose. So there are connection fibers that run all the way up like this, like strings, right? Like that. So it's like a remote control for the neck. I can do a contact here to just cue her nervous system to a specific part in her spine to let her know that's where you need to adjust. And the reason why I do it down here is I want to leave her as independent as possible to figure it out for herself. And that's one of the values of network is it empowers the person to heal themselves, right? So if I go directly there, actually it's going to be right that spot. It's like give a man a fish or teach him how to fish. So I'm going to do a contact here to affect right there. Okay.
Yeah, I don't move like that.
So this takes time, sometimes time to develop. Sometimes it happens right away for people.
Yeah, I know, she was.
Sometimes that's all I need to do, and I just, because she does the rest. Come back consistent. So her head's straight now.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
But what are the legs? Even, right?
Yeah. Big change.
Yay.
I notice she goes like this with her hands. I do that too.
The
Automatically.
connective tissue goes around everything, so when the spinal cord releases tension, sometimes you just kind of stretch everything out. Thank
It's
you.
like when a cat gets
Yeah.
up or when you
Cats can
yawn,
still
you can
do it.
stretch with it, and it's not forced. It's almost like my body, like I find myself sometimes working on the computer and all of a sudden breath and movement and my whole spine moves.
Of those that are our current clients, how many of you heard me say, feel like your body wants to move or stretch, let yourself do that, right? Everybody?
Yeah.
That's why. That's why. Because if you don't allow the movement, it's never going to happen. The body wants to do that. The body wants to do that. And I want to thank you all for coming tonight. Did everybody learn something they can take home? If you take one of these things home and apply it, you'll see results. If you do all of them, even better.